Hello, hello, hello. Today I am here with Aquila. We are going to be talking all about creative ways or how creativity meets financial stability. I'm super excited for this subject. I don't think I've ever heard the word creative and money in the same
Same.
sentence. Okay, that's just me. I don't know, but this sounds awesome. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I am the host here at Her Talk Show. If you have not already subscribed, girl, what are you waiting for? These podcasts are guaranteed to have you thinking differently about life and business. Let's jump right in.
Get ready because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, if you're listening live, I see you jumping on. Thanks for being here. If you are watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at in the comments so we can send you some love. Listen, we have had over 600 women grace this stage. We are adding another one to the list today. Aquila guides creatives and small business owners with tax, accounting, and financial planning solutions to protect and grow their money so they have the freedom to focus on doing what they love most. With 20 plus years of experience, she has helped clients realize more than 1.5 million in tax savings. Girl, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So you
Yeah.
are bringing the topic to us where creativity meets financial stability. I'd love to just jump in right away on like, what does this mean?
What does this mean? Yes.
Yes, girl, what does this mean?
Yeah. I wanted to bring something unique, a unique perspective. You know, we can talk about taxes, we can talk about accounting and all that, but I'm also creative. So in addition to doing this work financially, taxes, accounting for over 20 years, and working with clients, I've learned that particularly in working with with all the clients, even the annual tax clients, as well as our recurring monthly CFO level service clients, I've learned that some of the stability comes from how you creatively approach the finances. And in that, what I mean is that there is sometimes is asking the question, why are my finances not stable? Why are they up and down? And so the first point I want to bring out about that is that for most people, it is expected that your revenue, expenses, life is happening. Things are going to be up and down. Life is not a straight line. So once you sort of take that premise and say, okay, you know, I've been doing this webinar of series, and we sort of ask the question. We said, like, a recession is here. Now what? A strike is here. Now what? I lost my job. I have an illness and can't work. I lost my top 2 clients. Now what? Is the question is to sort of embrace the idea that life is not a straight line, and your money and everything else won't always just go like this or always go like that. And so the idea of saying, okay, now that we can take that premise and understand that we can sort of embrace or lean into the fear, into the uncertainty of that, to all the things that come up and we're triggered about that uncertainty, and we're looking to be stable, we can then say, who am I when a strike happens? Who am I when there's a recession? Who am I when I lose my top 2 clients? You know, who am I in any of the situations, so that you can navigate this up and down? And that's where the creativity comes. And so the creativity is sort of saying, not that there's this one checklist that applies to everyone across the board who's in business or who works a W-2 job, that you do this, and you'll be stable. There are definitely tools out there. The question is, who are you? Because it's like you can create a budget. We'll support you with that. You can have a way of doing tax, called like a tax analysis prior to tax prepping time, so you can see where you are. You can do all those things, but who are you in light of life? Because life is going to happen regardless of what you know, regardless of what you do. And so the creativity, we found that it's in determining, sort of looking at people's mindset and how they approach those moments. And you approach those moments sort of by who you are, how your stamina, your history, what you know and what you don't know, and really your mind and emotional sort of set to kind of show up and say, I'm gonna, we're going through this time right now. We're on this roller coaster of life. I'm on this phase of the business cycle where we might be curving down, and I need to creatively create stability here. I need to create stability here. And what makes it creative is that I am empowered to create it. It's not just a thing that, if I do this one thing, I mean, if everyone did the thing that someone said we Googled, or that we had a list, or we learned even in the class, we'd all be wealthy. We'd all have stability. We'd all have certainty. And so I just learned over the years that we have clients who have, trying to figure out how to pay their rent, the next month, how to cover the payroll for their team, and those who inherited millions in their 30s. And so in that range, what I've seen to be consistent is the feeling of stability is not always there. It's asking, who are you during these different phases of a cycle? Who are you? How do you show up? And then what can you learn from your past mistakes, those lessons, experiences, so that you can create a stable way of moving through all things. I hope I said a lot there. I hope I didn't run off for too much, but that's the premise I've been sitting with for a while and trying to express in our webinars and when I work with the clients monthly, to sort of like impart upon them. Let's add a different element to this, because money brings up a lot of stuff for people. So how can we be empowered in light of whatever's going on?
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate this thought process as far as it's different for everybody. I think a lot of times we go out and we buy books, like we'll buy like a book on money and how to manage the money. And we think that this is the one for us.
Right.
Not realizing that that's a general book written just generally. And it doesn't always fit everybody's profile. So I really appreciate what you're saying here as far as, what's going to work for you and your circumstance, and then how to work creatively around that.
Yeah. And Sabrina, I'll even add this. This is something new I do. So I've been doing this at work for years. I started with my mom, who's a CPA out of Indianapolis. So I am truly trained, experienced, lived in this world of finances. I'm also a poet. I'm a poet and a playwright. And so up until honestly recently, I've kind of kept them separate because I believed I had to, the whole hyphenate thing. I knew I was that, but oh, this world I share this part of me, this world I share this part of me. And I bring this up now because you're mentioning that, someone or a book or anything telling you what it should look like, what to do, how you should take the next step to become something, to reach a goal. Those things are definitely useful. I'm not saying they're not, but if you take them in light of the uniqueness of who you are, that makes a difference. Whether that uniqueness be something like me, who's also an artist in the sense of from the writing perspective, I begin to, particularly when our webinars or communicate, is to bring poetry into the financial presentation. So something very uncomfortable for me to do initially. My colleagues aren't doing it. They don't do that. But but it was interesting. I did that as to kind of bridge and integrate all of me in public, my public persona or whatever I'm sharing with people. Just be, most people do know I do both, but they don't get to experience me as both. So I did it to say, because this is uniquely who I am. And so not just share a poem, which I could do, which I do, but I also share a poem that relates to the topic, the financial topic. It stretches me to write in different ways and under different circumstances, and it relays the information to people in a way they haven't learned. So when we talk about that who you are is unique, and any tool out there can work for you, but then maybe the tool can work if I approach it this way. Maybe I'm trying to think of another example that I could give where we think about how this is one thing I talk about, like money styles. I think this was created by somebody in Canada. You may have seen this, the money personality, with your spender, I think saver, money monk, spender, saver, money monk. There's a fourth one I'll find. No matter what, if you have to do a budget or do these things or do accounting, do your own bookkeeping, hire someone, if you can know your personality, and that's just one example, that you're a spender, maybe you partner with, a saver. Not
and
that
drive each other nuts.
Drive each other nuts, exactly. Balance each other. Yeah, exactly. You say, I'm not so strong in this area, but I'm strong in spending. I'm the risk taker.
I love it.
And so just different, it's we can go on and on, but that's the way I think of when you mentioned that, like how people take a tool, take information. And because what happens, Sabrina, when we pick up that tool, that book, and we're not successful with like a diet or something, with following through, then we beat ourselves up. Then we have the shame, or we have like, I didn't do this or that. And, none of that is serving, for one. It does not serve you, but sometimes it's just you need a different way to do it.
Yeah.
You need a different way to approach it, so that's what I'm here for right now. I'm here for the creativity and all of it, all things financial and all that. Yes.
Yeah. I love what you're saying here. This is great. And this really does hone in on the book thing, right? Because if you are a spender or you are a saver, reading the book through those eyes is completely different. There's going to be some things that some are really excited about, and other things that people are like, I am not and cannot do that.
Right.
So yeah, finding out what works for you, and the benefit of, linking up with someone like yourself and the services that you provide is, having that added value of, who are you? How do you spend your money specifically? And then let's create something specifically tailored to you.
Yes.
Which is great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is actually reminding me of, totally off topic, but, I'm just turned 40, and, I've been on a dozen lifestyle / diets, whatever you want to call them. And I'm healthy, right? Healthy. I don't think I'm obscene in any direction. But I just found out about fasting 9 months ago. And I freaking love it. Like, I will do this for the rest of my life. And what I love about it, talking about spending, like, I'm not a spender, I'm a total saver.
Okay.
So those books work for me, because like I can follow all the things, like, and I'll probably do better than what they're saying, because like I am super frugal. But with food, I love a slice of pizza. I love brownies. I love, the things. So fasting is awesome for me, because I can literally just not eat for 1 to 2 days a week, and then feel no guilt and no shame around having pizza or having that brownie or having that, a whole bag of popcorn or whatever it is, because the calorie intake for the week kind of evens out in more of a healthy way versus not. So to your point, right, that's not going to work for everybody.
Right.
It's like not eating at all for the whole day. It's not going to work for everybody. But it will work for some people. So it's taking me this long to find this, and I freaking love it. Like,
it works for you.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing, So I want to ask, as far as, I know you talk a lot about non-traditional earning capacities. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about how we can achieve financial stability through other means?
Yeah. So when I talk about non-traditional, it's one first phase of it, or first perspective of it, is looking at it from not having a job, a W-2 job only, So in that, perspective, you're looking at going to work to a job, or, a lot of people are working from home, even as W-2 employees now, and there's a guaranteed pay. You're going to get paid every 2 weeks or bi-monthly, whatever it looks like. And that's sort of the traditional way of working. Now, non-traditional, we have a lot of clients who, like, for example, are in, social media space or influencers or doing different things. And it's really a perspective of saying, how can we look at the opportunity to work for myself in multiple ways? That's really what it's just looking at. So like, when I go to a job, I do this and I get paid. It may be 4 different things. So non-traditional is saying, hey, I work for, maybe I set up the LLC. Maybe I did, or maybe I have a C Corp for this over here. Maybe I just work as a sole proprietor, but I am choosing, or a little bit more in control of multiple streams of income, that I'm not relying on this one job to only be the means of bringing my revenue, income that I need to cover my expenses, that I am doing things that in a non-traditional way, even seasonal work, because to me, some ways when I say this, it sounds like, oh, people are doing this. So it's not what's so big, it's a big deal about it, but it's non-traditional because we historically have not been, I say, supportive of people as a game plan. To say, I'm going to do something. I'm going to work this thing seasonally, and I'm not going to work in the winter. I'm going to, work three different businesses. One is, maybe something I do that maybe covers that this covers my basic expenses, and this over here gives me something above and beyond that I'm building and creating. And I just think that there is a historic approach to. We have to have someone hire us, which is nothing wrong with that too, because everyone, has their place in what feels comfortable for them, but that we have to have someone to hire us. And then that determines whether we're worthy, what we bring in, all those things that kind of determine what happens after that. But if you work non-traditional, is to say, you know what, I am going to be a little more in control of my destiny. And maybe I work a job that's only 20 hours as an employee, or I work the 40-hour job, but I do this on Saturdays. And so having a perspective that doesn't shame that doesn't look at that as someone who's just all over the place, and being open to that in the mindset of, I have this goal, and how am I going to reach it? Am I going to do some non-traditional things to reach that are legal, of course, that don't cause harm, that don't, put myself or my partner or my family in terms of endanger or risk their financial livelihood. But being open to non-traditional ways, and because we're moving more and more to a society that doesn't do things the way, particularly with work and revenue, the way they used to. So I'm just someone who, with our clients, people we meet, who are just open to that, and we have a great deal of clients who do a number of things, whether it's, a portion of investing, but sometimes we don't think of it as a thing like 40% of my time or 40% of my revenue, I want to come from this. That's a goal. And 60% will come from this, or just different ways, again, going back to what's unique in your personality, what works for you. But what makes that non-traditional approach work is when you're clear about where you're going. Because it can look like you're jumping all over the place, you're doing something different, you're doing, whatever. But if you're not clear about where you're going, and you can figure out how to be in alignment with these non-traditional things, because that non-traditional approach sometimes is the thing that satisfies you creatively. I personally, I've worked in my whole adult lifehood, I think I've worked a total of 2 to 3 years maybe in a W-2, like go to the same office every day. And it's just not for me. It's not for me. And some people, it may be for them, or some people they may choose that as a form of stability from one mindset and still do something non-traditional to pair with that. Or we have a lot of couples who one partner may have the W-2 job and the other one has something more non-traditional. That's the kind of the approach. It's like, and we work a lot of creatives too. So we imagine that we work a lot of creatives and consultants, and with the creatives, if someone is on an off-Broadway show for 6 weeks and they book a Broadway gig on a show that runs well, they may run for 2 years, or it gets canceled after 2 weeks, and then they book a film. Even if they book the film and it's wonderful, they book the TV show. If it gets beyond 2 seasons, there's still an up and down to that, and that's not traditional. In terms of everyday life. So that's the perspective on it, and ways to open. I think if you open your mind to how do I use this non-traditional thing that can serve me, And then this, I'll ask one more piece, and one more piece of this, Sabrina, is that the idea of nothing is forever in a sense. I think, I think about my parents and the grandparents, the idea of going to work and, getting the job and you're going to retire. Like, that's just not the common thing anymore. And so knowing that, again, having that perspective of life is not a straight line. I may be here for 2 years. Like, we can take strides and take chances, take a risk, knowing that this may be a 2-year thing. This may be a 1-year thing, maybe a 5-year thing, and be okay with that versus any kind of shame. So we really support the clients who are looking at non-traditional ways of working and earning income.
Yeah. I think they say it's like 3 to 7 years now, right? Like stay at a job, it's like 3 to 7 years.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. What's so interesting about this, and I love that you're bringing this up, this non-traditional, even the fact that there's like a word, I think, that people can put to it, I feel like just feels better. At least it feels good for me. It's not just like, what are you doing? It's like, it's non-traditional.
Non-traditional.
Yeah, it feels good. Like, it feels like, I'm like in a club or something. But to that point, I feel as if, generational cycles are a real thing. And I think sometimes people do feel this pressure when they make a decision on something that, oh, this is the thing I'm going to have to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that like scares people. And this is what I think keeps people from pivoting or from moving.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, because they're like, ooh, I want to do this thing, but what if it doesn't work? And then I lose this. And you're opening up the box to this whole new thought of, it doesn't have to be traditional. It can mean that you literally fully commit to something for 2 years, knowing it'll only be for a couple of years, and then you pivot. And that is fine.
I love that. I love that you said that. Last week I did one of our webinars too. The topic was the ultimate pivot, and I talked about like the sort of traditional way of pivoting. I leave my job and I go to this job, or I make a career change. But sometimes it's shorter periods than that. Sometimes it's this is the goal. What is the goal? We talk about what am I required to meet that goal, and then am I going to take the actions to follow through on that? So the goal, determining, being really clear on what's required and taking the action steps. And if that goal changes in 2 days, if it changes in 6 months, you learn something, it changes, that's okay. It's okay, and then you change what's required and you change your action to get to that. So I like that you said that word, because I really, it's been on my mind a lot, the ultimate pivot. Like, how do we, new ways to pivot without feeling shame or judged or any of that.
Totally. I would say I'm an expert at it.
Yes.
Girl, I always be pivoting.
You're pivoting. Yes.
I love it. I do want to go off on a little rabbit hole, not really spend too much time here, but I'm just kind of curious on your opinion, because everything that you're talking about here is like right up my alley. Like, I am all about, having the main thing that makes you the money, and then having like a side thing, and then maybe doing some seasonal work. Like, I'm always just like, let me just collect me some money. I'm just collecting me some money all over the place. And that feels good to me. And as a female, and you may or may not even know what this is, this could just be, in my world. It doesn't have to be in everyone's world. But I have been confronted with this whole toxic hustle thing of females are not supposed to fall into the trap of the side hustle or the hustle mentality, because it is a masculine trait versus a feminine trait. And it could be mentally and emotionally like draining and break us as an individual. Now, I don't feel that. I've been living this life for pretty much my whole adult life. But I get a lot of questions on like, do you ever burn out? How are you not burning out? Be careful of the burnout. because of all of the things that I talk about that I do throughout my year. So I'm just curious, do you have an opinion? Have you ever heard of this? Do you have an opinion? What are your thoughts?
I haven't heard of it in that way, but I say what I've witnessed. I've witnessed more men being encouraged to hustle than women. So I have witnessed that. And I think that and what I've also witnessed is men being encouraged. Sometimes you align that with risk taking, men being encouraged to take risk, or it just not looking, the woman is supposed to, female is supposed to be stable, do something stable, be I don't know what the words are, but like be that person who's gonna be the soft place to fall while you go out and do whatever, And I think all those historic tropes and all those historic ways that we look at male, female energy, even, I think I agree with you that it's, I don't know, it's I've seen some women hustle who are amazing, and they don't get burned out because they know themselves and they know how to handle it. And, again, it goes back to the unique nature of you. So, thanks for bringing that up. I was trying to think, I just have, from a perspective, like a broad perspective, just kind of recollecting, I've heard comments, and I'm just thinking about the comments and things people have said about women like being surprised. That's the way I'm trying to get at. So when a man does, it's like, oh yeah, he's doing this. Did you hear he's doing it? You hear he's doing this? But what I've heard with women, it's like either a surprise or a diss on like they're being all over the place. What is she doing now? And I've heard that with men too, but more than not, no, it's either a diss or it's a like how is she doing that? Or like, wow, but he's doing it, it's like, yeah, go, so I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen that.
How do you think that we can be more supportive of the creatives?
I think this is, two ways. I think one, if we embrace the creative within ourselves, that's the first thing. I think we all are creative. There's some people, if there were a pendulum, maybe some people are a little bit further to one end, but we all are creative. So if you can embrace the creativity with yourself, because what happens is some people are creative only in one box. So if, I don't know, just a random example, if they go to a job, maybe they follow all the rules, they do everything the way it's traditionally expected of them. In this work environment, because this is how it's done, this is how your supervisor did it, and you do all those things and you don't feel the space to be creative, and then you go home maybe or with an extracurricular activity you have, and you may be a little creative there. It's a little creative, and realizing that little creativity can show up in everywhere, because all creativity is taking the impetus of an idea and being like, I want to think about how I can do this. So I think that's the first way, recognizing yourself, you won't judge or be more supportive of others. And I think the other way is to financially support creatives and go out and pay for shows or anything else. We see we can really support creatives, because if you understand that creatives rule the world, new ideas, new things, pushing boundaries, comes from creativity. So I think supporting and showing up, financially is one way. And another way too is simply to encourage people. So encourage your friends' creative idea, encourage your children who are creative, especially the young people. Like, allow children to like that hustle, whatever that looks like at 9, changing their mind every 6 months. We tend to have more permission for the younger children. We're like, oh, okay, they want to be this now. They're doing this now. They're joining that sport, or they're joining this, musical group. Is let people know that their creativity is informative of where they're going and where they're, and do that for adults as well. I think we like when a child falls, we don't say, you're 2 years old now, why are you not walking without falling? But we do it with adults. You make a mistake, it's like, why are you making mistakes? I think with creatives, really give respect and just encourage like the creativity and the idea, and do not shame when this creative risk, this risk you're taking doesn't work out, because it's just information to do the next thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the things I talk about all the time, is you're never ever starting from scratch. A lot of times when we're pivot, we're like, oh, we're starting from scratch. We don't know. Like, we gained so much wisdom and experience
Yeah.
from our last endeavors, and you take all of that with you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
How many people have you heard of, particularly men too, who have filed bankruptcy multiple times and are doing wonderfully, but that whatever that experience was, they learned from it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you're very right. You're never starting from scratch. It's just information. It's like, I care who said this, but people say it all the time now, like, it's like getting your degree. You know, when you have to fail, you're like, oh, I got my degree in that. You know, I got my master's in making this mistake. And that's what I say to myself now. I'm like, yeah, that was good. That was good. I learned that. And I'll elevate from there. Yeah.
Yeah. That was just in the Facebook group. Somebody had asked, like if you could have a title or something for, I don't want to say your life, but something like that. And I said, tripping and falling, how to trip and fall and pretend like it never happened, or act like it never happened. I feel like I'm always just tripping. I'm always tripping and falling all over the place. And then I just have to stand up and just be like, what?
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 You saw that?
I love it. I would love to talk about cash flow.
Okay.
And I'm sure you see this too. The biggest issue with business failure is lack of cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving us options here, right? Side hustle and, being creative, doing some seasonal work to kind of carry you through whatever it is. I guess this is more of a mindset question. But I'm just kind of curious. I see more often than not this feeling of, I work with female entrepreneurs, this feeling of like, if I go find a job of any sort, then I am a failure. Right? So they can't do both. They can't have a side gig on the weekends and run their business. They can't work in the mornings and then do it's either they're working their business or they're working a job. And if they're working a job, then they failed at their business. And I know you're in this realm. So, I would like maybe just your feedback on that. What do you see? What are your thoughts on, doing both in order to make your business succeed?
I have this formula that I play with, just ideas. It's a kind of formula of, is it I think it's for cash. I can't remember what it is, but it's the idea that you have being clear about, when we talk about that ultimate pivoting, being clear about where you're going. So we sort of know where we are. I'm short so much money, or I'm not able to have the cash flow I want right now. I know where I want to be at this goal. I want to, increase my revenue by $100,000 a year, or whatever that is. And the in-between, we sort of box that in. Again, coming back to creativity, we box that in. So first of all, what that looks like is unique for everyone, and what it takes, it takes. What it takes, it takes. So if it takes working a 9-to-5 job and working a part-time job for 2 years, for 3 months, that's what it takes to get there. And I think that we know where we are because we feel it, we live in it, and we know we want to go, but we then want to tunnel or box in the how. So sometimes we see someone else who's gotten there and we think, well, they did it that way, and we don't know what they went through. We don't know the journey and we don't know all the things they went through to get there. So we just say, I'm going to skip to that, or we say, I'm only going to do it this way. And sometimes we say, I'm only going to do it this way. It just takes longer. It doesn't mean you won't get it. It just means it may take longer. If you open yourself up to what are all the ways that I can get to that goal, and just be open, but not the ways that I want to right now, not the ways that don't make my ego feel challenged. I don't want to work a job, just for minutes, just stop and say, what are all the ways? And so the one exercise I got from Brian Tracy, I believe, is the idea of writing down 20 things. When you have a question you can't quite answer, you're not certain about. And so I challenge the clients that we work with, when it comes up, to write down 20 ways that you can make more income or meet that goal. Because the first 5 will be easy. You're probably already doing them. Maybe the 6 to 10, you're like, okay, I'm on a roll, but it's tough to get to 20 without really digging deep and saying, well, I could do that. I could do the thing that sounds crazy to you that your ego won't just do automatically, like I could do that. Well, maybe this. And it makes you get really deep and open yourself up. So, between where you are and where you want to go, be open, be open, be open. Just be open, because you may be boxing yourself in or putting yourself into a tunnel that's going to limit you from getting there quicker than you really could.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. 100%. what was that? 20 ways to make more income? Just write a list.
That's one of the ways, because people can, how we talk about financial planners are really great historically for talking about save this, don't have so many coffees and do that. And at some point, you just need to make more money. We have clients who are really efficient with their spending, but still live in New York City, and are just, we got to pay that self-employment tax. It's just what they're making is not enough, no matter how much they skip a coffee or whatever. So, and we all want to be expansive in our mindset. That's the other thing too. I'm for saving, I'm for budgeting for sure, and planning out everything. But sometimes you want to figure out how to make more money. We're not really taught that. So this is an exercise that anyone could do, is to write down 20 ways, not just 10, not just 5, but 20 ways that I can bring in more income, and have that number sort of in mind. I want to increase my revenue by 20,000 in 2024. What are the 20 things I could do? And write it down. And if it takes you, I've done this, and where it's taken me like 3 sittings, because I'll get to 10 really quickly, and I even get to like 18. And I'm like, I'll just come back a day or 2 later, because I'm really like, I think I'm out of ideas. And then when I come back, it's like, bam, it's like, I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have pushed myself to go there. Or it sounded crazy when I said it, when I was thinking about it at step number 1. It's like, and it just forces you to think like there's so much opportunity, and I can be expansive. And we want to practice being expansive, with our thoughts. And so that's the way I think that it's a good exercise to practice, to begin practicing open your mind to thinking how you can make more money, or any goal you want. How can I do that? What are the 20 things I can do right now to do that? And to come back to what you said, like, being open, just open in that, I don't want to work a job. There are a lot of things. And what I want to add to that is that we said earlier about things not being forever, things being temporary. So say, I really don't want to work a job and do this thing. Maybe write down in your list of 20, work the job and have the part-time thing for just 3 months. Like
Totally.
Nothing is forever. Can you sacrifice 3 months of not doing anything you love to reach that goal? If you can, that's wonderful. So that's a way to kind of pivot and think about it differently.
Totally. Celeste said, we're curating the responses. Can you solicit help from, or when curating the responses, can you solicit help from others to help identify more options?
Yes. I talk about this a lot, a financial buddy. And it's like kind of like tongue in cheek with a financial buddy. Absolutely solicit from others, because what happens in your own mind, sometimes you'll really block off things. You only see things from a certain lens. So you bring other people into the conversation. You can they'll give you ideas and say things you might not have said. They'll also maybe sometimes, and make sure that person you solicit responses for, that they, as much as possible, see you in your wholeness. You don't want to go to someone who's like, you can't do that. That's never going to work, So solicit response to someone who sees you in your wholeness. That could be a friend. That could be your partner. That could be a bookkeeper. It could be your accountant, financial advisor. But absolutely, come up with your ideas from your own sort of what's coming up, but open the space to share with people who really support you and believe in you and see you in your wholeness.
Yeah. Yes. Like a little brainstorming session there.
Yeah, I did. That was a good question.
Yeah, look at us coming together, making stuff happen. This is great. And I think a lot of this also, especially when you are in the business world and you're creating something for yourself, I think it's important to recognize that that's the long game. right? So there's things that you have to do in the short term or the midterm that might be uncomfortable. I follow Lisa Nichols. She's one of my favorite
Yes.
mentors. And she did this one spiel that was I carry it with me every single day. And she was telling this magnificent story, which I won't get into because of time. But she basically was saying, like, how long are you capable of being uncomfortable?
Ooh.
Like she talks about when she was saving her money and she was like making her
Yes.
nest egg for her business. She didn't even know what her business was. And she was
Mm.
in her lifestyle was incredibly uncomfortable, like not
Mhm.
ideal whatsoever. But she knew that if she wanted to get to where she wanted to get to, these were the circumstances that she had to do for the short term,
Yeah.
knowing that the whole thing was set up for the long term. And if you look at her now, I mean, it worked.
Yeah, it worked. I love that. I love that. How long do you want to be uncomfortable? I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal. I so appreciate this conversation so much. We're obviously getting a really good view as to what you do. But if you could do me a huge favor and let us know specifically what you do and who should be reaching out to you,
Mm.
who do you help?
Yeah, so we help client. We do taxes, so we have to work with tax clients, individuals and business owners. We work. We have a CFO, interim CFO service, and sort of an enterprise service where work with people on a recurring basis. So the idea is that people who want a year-round relationship with an accountant or tax accountant, that's our team. Beyond just getting your taxes done once a year, people who want tax analysis, say like, because my mother always used to say, tax preparation is looking at what happened last year, which is informative. Like, oh, well, that's why I don't have any money, or that's why that happened. So we do a lot of tax planning to say, let's look at where you are. Can we do anything for the end of the year? So that's a lot of our clientele. And I will say we have a webinar tomorrow, a final webinar of the year, dealing with the financial growth plan, how to cultivate your financial growth plan. So that's something, if you're interested, you can check on the website or get free information that'll eventually be up on YouTube at some point. But yeah, so those are the people that we serve and look to help and work with.
That's awesome. Where can people find you? Website, social media?
Yes, so website is barnesfinancialconcierge.com, BARNES, financial, then concierge, CONCIERGE.com. And I am on IG at Barnes Financial. I am on Facebook. I think it's, because I don't do my social media always. I think it's BFSNY. BFSNY. But at Barnes Financial, you'll kind of connect to all. I think through our link tree, we'll connect to all of it.
Beautiful. Well, this has been great. To those of you listening, thank you so much for being here live. We appreciate you. Make sure you connect with Aquila and all the goodness that she shared. Her website, her Instagram, her Facebook. We love to make sure that we connect people so that we can all continue to rise. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
I just, closing thought would be that I am really grateful for this conversation. It's been a journey for me, not allowing myself to be locked into a box. So I want all women and continue to encourage women, encourage artists, encourage people of color, encourage people who have not been given permission to be free with their money to do this. So I'm just grateful because I haven't always been this person who's been able to talk this easily about it. So I'm just full of gratitude for having me and for you having me and for having this conversation.
I love that you said that.
Mm.
That helps people. That helps people because we look and we're like, oh, look at her. She got all her shit together. And then, having just a sentence like that, it helps people recognize like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
that's something that I could work towards. So that's great. We need more of that. So that was great. Well, I so appreciate you being here. That brings
Sabrina, I'm sorry. I didn't say that we also have a YouTube channel at Barnes Financial that has our podcast. So there's lots of free information there too.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for inspiring us. To our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us until the very end. Remember to follow, like, and share if you haven't already. Once again, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way by having conversations just like this.